Okay, guys, back again, and let's talk about the stuff that I've been watching this week. So it's been 6 days, but the first movie I'm going to talk about is Morbius, which came out last Thursday. As of this video, it is almost Thursday. For the next week, so Sonic the Hedgehog 2 comes out this week, which is definitely one I'll see. But last week I watched Morbius, and I just didn't have time to talk about it yet, so that's why I'm on a bit of a delay. But Morbius is, of course, the newest Sony Spider-Man villain movie, where or anti-hero movie where this character Michael Morbius um, becomes a vampire, uses this artificial blood, becomes a vampire, and I don't really want to say much besides that in terms of the spoilers, um, because the trailer, surprisingly enough, the trailer doesn't give that much information about the movie, which I actually did appreciate for watching this movie. I didn't expect some things about it. Now, don't get me wrong, Morbius is pretty generic as a movie. It it's really weird because this one is kind of an editing mess. Like throughout the movie, there's random things that happen in terms of the editing, and also you look at this movie like it is just pretty plain in terms of the story. And I did like the characters, honestly. I liked the actors. I thought Jared Leto did good. I thought Matt Smith did great. I liked the love interest. I forgot what her name is. So I like these characters. I thought that they were interesting. Even though the movie's just kind of generic, I did like them. Um, I did think this was an interesting story, even though, like I said, the story is pretty generic and the editing is weird in it. Um, but I enjoyed it for what it was. It's definitely not the worst movie ever, like every person says, and it's pissing me off that like every time a new superhero movie comes out that does not have great critical reviews, it's the worst movie ever, and we're just really saturating the fact that people are just not going to be black and white, are just going to be black and white about stuff. They're not going to be in between about stuff. I didn't think this movie was the worst movie ever. I thought it was whatever. It wasn't anything super special, but it's far from being the worst movie ever. And I hate that mentality that we've got going where everybody's like, "Oh, this is the worst thing ever because it got low ratings." See it for yourself first before you look at a critic rating, because there's so many movies that I enjoy, whether they're good movies or not, quote unquote, based on people's opinions. But I don't look at critic reviews in that way. Like, I'll see what the critics say about movies, but I don't take that to heart. I don't not watch a movie because a critic doesn't like it, because I think that that's really stupid. Um, this one is nowhere near as bad as people say it is. I don't think, honestly. I think it's just another standard, average Sony anti-hero movie, because the Venom movies are the same way. Even though Venom 2, I think I like the most out of the three of these Sony verse villains. I like that. Then I probably like this one, and then I liked the first Venom if I had to rank them. So this is in the middle out of the three, but it still is solid enough. I didn't dislike it. Besides the issues I had, like I said, with the editing is really weird, um, and it's a pretty plain story. But I like the characters. I like the actors. I thought they did good. The effects are like they usually are in these kind of movies. Like, they're fine. It's nothing to write home about, but it's nothing to bitch about either. Honestly, I thought this was not a movie to complain that much about. Um, and I won't spoil it, but the after credits scene in the movie is really, really weird. Um, it doesn't make much logical sense if you've caught up with all these movies relating to Spider-Man. Watching this, the ending after credits for this movie don't really make sense. And there is a line in this movie where it makes no logical sense to any of these characters and anything. It's very weird. Um, it was cool to see said person in the end credits, but that whole dialogue made no sense at all to the story so far in these movies. So it's very weird. But uh, but Morbius, like I said, it's nothing special, but it's not horrible. And I hate that mentality that people are just going to keep bitching about stuff like this. Or it's cool to hate something, and that's what people love to do. People love to hate on stuff. That's how you get reactions, and it pisses me off. But I thought this movie was fine. It wasn't anything special or great. It was okay. So Morbius, I thought was fine. Then I watched VHS, which I had never seen before. Um, Directed by a lot of different people. Radio Silence, I think Ty West, and a couple other people directed each of these segments. It's an anthology horror movie um, about found footage, and I really like that idea. Um, I've of course seen other found footage movies, but I haven't really seen that many anthology found footage movies, and I thought that that was a creative idea. And this one, VHS, I actually did really like it a lot. I thought it was really interesting. I thought that there were a lot of cool anthology segments. There was one cool one where you've got these people out in the woods, and on the camera there's a demon, but it won't show on the camera. It'll just be fuzzy. And I thought that that was a cool effect, and I thought that was creepy and effective with what they do with the found footage. And I know that it's CG that they're doing, but it worked, and I thought that was really cool. There's a great first segment. I think it's the first one where you've got this these guys who meet a girl at a bar, and then it suddenly goes batshit, where like this girl is like a demon, and she literally, like, you watch through the camera view of like them getting killed and mauled, and it's creepy and disturbing, and it's really cool. Um, those are the two that stick out to me in VHS. The other ones I do like, but I think I watched it a week ago, so I'm kind of blanking on the other ones. Um, but I did like it. I thought it was solid and entertaining. If I had to choose between this and Morbius, I'd like this one more so far in terms of the movies I watched this week. Um, so VHS, not a lot to say about it, but I did like it, and I thought it was effective and creepy with what they did in the movie, with the different segments. Then I watched a movie that I really loved, and this is my favorite movie of this week that I watched, which is Death Becomes Her, starring Bruce Willis, Meryl Streep, and Goldie Hawn, and it is hilarious. It is about this. I'm blanking on the names, but you've got Meryl Streep, who takes away every man that Goldie Hawn ever wants, and she takes away Bruce Willis from her. So then Goldie Hawn becomes fat cat lady, and then she finds a potion from this magical lady, and then that makes her immortal. And then Meryl Streep also becomes immortal. So they're fighting over Bruce Willis while trying to kill each other. And it's really funny and really effective. And I think that the jokes in it really land. And I really dig the humor between them all. I really like Meryl Streep in this because she's usually the movies I've seen with Meryl Streep, they're not typically humorous. I've seen a lot of movies with her in it, but I can't think of one that's really that humorous. Besides, like, say, Mamma Mia. I've seen the Mamma Mia movies, but I've seen other things that she's in, of course, like Devil Wears Prada, The Deer Hunter, stuff like that, where like she's not humorous. Like in this one, I thought that she had some really funny line deliveries, and I thought that she was effective. I was shocked whenever she fell down the stairs, twisted her neck backwards, and then she walked backwards up to Bruce Willis. That was really funny. She's like, my ass. Like, those lines are funny. This is also directed by Robert Zemeckis, who of course did Back to the Future trilogy. Great director. But I really liked that he did this kind of movie. This is not one I expected him to have directed. I thought it was really solid and really entertaining. Goldie Hawn is really funny as well. You don't really typically see her with long hair, or at least I haven't really in many movies. I haven't seen a lot of Goldie Hawn movies, but I thought it was funny to see her like this. She looks way different in this. Bruce Willis goes against type in this, where he is this dorky nerd. Like, he's just this dork. And he is so funny in how wimpy he is. And I think that that's great. And this came out in 92, so he already did Die Hard. He did that TV show that he started in. I forgot what it was called. But I don't know what kind of character he was in that show. And I'm blanking on the show name, but it's the first thing he ever did. But Bruce Willis started doing action, and then he did this role, which I think is really hilarious. And getting serious in this moment, talking to you guys. But I watched this movie, and then 2 days later they announced that Bruce Willis is retiring, and it just felt like a really bittersweet time to watch this. Like, I really loved his performance in this, and hearing the fact that he's retiring from acting because he has a actual medical condition that he cannot act anymore and he's losing cognitive functions, that is so sad and terrible. And it's such a weird moment in time that I watched that movie right whenever that happened. So I wish the best for Bruce Willis because I love him as an actor. We all love Bruce Willis. He's so great, and it's just so sad that he has to go through this now. But it's just perfect timing. It's cool that I saw this movie right whenever that happened, I guess, because then I got to see a great movie of his. I do want to see more of his now because he now has a stopping point in his movies, so I can watch them all, which is a good thing and a bad thing because I won't be able to see more movies with him in it, but I'll at least get to see all the other stuff and appreciate all the other stuff he's done. So yeah, Death Becomes Her, I did enjoy. I thought it was really entertaining and really funny. It was definitely my favorite movie this week that I watched. Then I've got two other movies I watched. I'm going to talk about Sublime, which is a 2007 horror movie where a man is in a hospital getting a colonoscopy, but then he sees random people that aren't really there and people don't believe him, and he sees terrifying visions, and he keeps remembering his past of his 40th birthday. Tom Cavanaugh is the main star in this. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this movie sucked. I couldn't stand Sublime. This one is so incredibly uninteresting and boring, and it is a movie about a guy for 2 hours in a hospital bed seeing hallucinations, and it felt like a studio note where this movie really didn't feel like a horror movie, but then they put in all of these random ass moments of horror in it. Where like he's getting his fingers cut into pieces or like and his toes cut into pieces, and like he'll see people getting hurt, or he'll see a nurse having sex with a doctor, like just random ass stuff that like makes no logical sense. And I guess that's what they're going for in this movie, but I couldn't stand it. And also there is a character in this movie that randomly, for no reason, like there's no setup of this, he's talking to Tom Cavanaugh, this black character, and he starts talking about black oppression. And it's like, yeah, black oppression is not good, but where the hell did this come from? It made no logical sense in this movie. And that character is tonally so weird because this movie is trying to be serious with some weird horror moments in it, but then you got that guy saying weird ass jokes and then talking about black oppression. It's like, what in the hell is going on in terms of the story and in terms of the plot, in terms of the structure? That makes no sense. Like, what? Like, Sublime, I hated it. I could not stand it. I thought it was so bad. And then the ending of it just took the prize for being a really bad movie, because it just ended in a way where you're like, wow, that was so incredibly anticlimactic. Even though it made sense, it was so stupid. Sublime, man, I couldn't stand Sublime. It was in a 4-pack I bought with The Believers, which I have not seen yet, and the 2 Rest Stop movies, which I did review recently. But I will watch the other movie, The Believers, sometime soon in that 4-pack, because that's the only one I need to watch left. But it was like a Warner Brothers raw feed horror collection. But yeah, Sublime, easily the worst movie I saw out of this week. Like, I could not stand Sublime. I thought it was so bad. Then the last movie I watched, which I really dug, was Breakdown, starring Kurt Russell. And it is about Kurt Russell on the road in Nevada, I believe, with his wife in the desert. Their car breaks down, and then his wife goes with the trucker, and then he can't find the wife. He goes to the local restaurant. She's not there. Nobody knows who she is. He goes back to that guy who was in the semi, and the semi's like, I don't know who you are. The semi guy says this to him. And Kurt Russell has to go and find the truth. And I'll say this. The plot of Breakdown is pretty basic. Like, it feels like something like Road Games or something, where like it's a thriller like on the road. The Road Games is a movie from 1982, directed by Richard Franklin, that had Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis, and it was kind of like an on the road thriller. So it reminded me slightly of that kind of movie in this one, but or say Joyride. It reminded me also of Joyride as well. Um, but this movie has a pretty basic plot, and I thought that the first two acts were fine in terms of like, oh, we got to get here to here. Like, Kurt Russell has to get more pissed, has to find out where's the wife, and he's got to find the mystery of her. But whenever we get to the third act of this movie, I really dug it. I thought it was so fun. It was such a fun action movie, an action thriller. I thought that the third act was just so memorable and so entertaining, but to a story that's just kind of basic. But I really liked that a lot. It built up very great to the ending. Kurt Russell is really good in this. Like he wouldn't be good. I usually have never seen him in anything really bad. Like, I do really like Kurt Russell movies. He's great in this. The performances are good. It's a good thriller. I think that it's got a good final act. Like, I think it's really entertaining and really fun and really satisfying. So I really dug that about Breakdown. So yeah, I had fun with that one. That was definitely one of my favorites this week. But if I had to rank these movies, like in terms of like the movie that I liked the most and the movie I liked the least, Death Becomes Her would be the first movie that I liked the most. Then it would be Breakdown. Then it would be VHS, and then Morbius, and then Sublime. And there is a drastic difference between Morbius and Sublime. Like, Sublime, I couldn't stand. I gave it like 1 star out of 5 on Letterboxd. Morbius, I gave like 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which I liked that movie. I thought Morbius was fine. VHS, I gave it 3.5, I think. Breakdown, I gave it 4. Death Becomes Her, I gave it 4.5. So I really liked those couple of movies, and there's one that I hated. So, and one that I felt fine about with Morbius. So I feel like this was a very even, or a very balanced week, where it's like I found a movie that I really like, a movie that I really dig, a movie that I thought was fine, a movie that I hated. So there's a lot of these movies that I feel like I liked a lot and I didn't like a lot. So it's a pretty even week for me. In terms of TV shows, I haven't watched that many. I watched some Seinfeld, I watched some Community, and I watched Moon Knight, which the first episode I thought was good, but it was pretty slow. So we're gonna see where it goes. But Oscar Isaac is good in the show. Really like that. Ethan Hawke as well, even though you haven't seen that much of him yet. And the first episode of Moon Knight ended on a good, like, I want to see the next episode kind of episode. So I'm excited for Moon Knight, but that's all really I've been watching. I haven't been watching that many TV shows. I've kind of been focused on video games as well, so I haven't had as much time, and I'm just working a lot at this job that I've got. So that's all the movies I watched this week. Stay tuned. Next week I will definitely see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in theaters. I like the first one a lot, so yeah, I'm going to see this one. I'll definitely try to watch The Believers this week, which is part of that 4-pack, Raw Feed Horror Collection 4-pack. And I've got more that I'll watch, but I can't think of on the top of my head. But that is it for today on all the stuff I watched this week. So I'll see you guys later. Take care.